Hello again. It is still January 15th, 2026, and I don't think I did a Happy New Year video, so I hope everybody's having a blessed New Year so far. I wanted to jump on here and I've got no notes, no agenda, nothing like that. I just want to talk a little bit. I also want to share. I don't want to rehash the topic that I did on, oh gosh, I think it was like maybe 3 weeks, I think it was just 2 weeks ago, about some things that I was upset about, and I don't want to rehash that issue, but I do want to share the outcome, because that was just, things went actually how they should have gone, instead of things that I've witnessed and heard about and experienced in the past, with other places and other people. The bottom line was that it showed me that everyone involved, at least in the working it out process, their main focus was the unity of the body, as is mine. That's my top priority when it comes to any kind of disagreements or whatever. We clearly still did not agree on a couple of key points in that whole discourse, and that's okay. We're not all going to agree on everything. It's like the whole argument, some people, when people talk about the rapture, just for an example, some people are pre-trib, some people are, we're in the tribulation, others are, just, I can't even remember what they call it, but we can still get along. Our definitions of things like gossip, or our interpretation of how Jesus outlines in Matthew to deal with people that, or offend us or whatever. It's okay to disagree and come to whatever compromise. You're not compromising the gospel. That should never be compromised. And it was just as bad as it could have been. It was a beautiful thing to experience firsthand with my direct involvement. Just beautiful people working things out so we can move forward. And things have been wonderful even through the process and since then. And I'm sharing this because I hear so many people, and even all the way back, even, Peter and Paul, had some major disagreements and ended up splitting, and God used that to spread the gospel to other regions and everything. But it's like so many splits of churches. I have been in so many churches that, people have disagreements, so they go start their own church. What happened to building up the church that is? I mean, we don't need more churches. We need more servants that get along regardless of whether they agree on every little dot and tittle. And do we agree that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God? That he was born of a virgin, showed us by example how to, live a sinless life, and then sacrificed himself for us because, God knows we can't live like he did. And then God raised him from the dead. Can we all agree on that? And in that brings unity in the body. The love of God in us and through us for each other and for the communities, serving God in the community. That's what the church is for. It's its primary purpose. Alongside spreading the gospel and bringing people in, it's the care of people. First and foremost, our brothers and sisters. And we don't have to like each other all the time. We don't have to agree on everything. And it was just, I have to say, it was the first time in my life that I experienced such a group of loving people walking what they talk in that kind of situation. Because, the one video that I put up upset a few people, and somebody suggested I take it down, and I didn't. And like I said, there was some really key points that we didn't agree on. But I agree with the structure of the church that I belong to. And I respect the authority there. And I think that's another thing that, I think sometimes we get so full of ourselves that we forget or dismiss, which is, I think, worse than forgetting, but we dismiss the structure that God, through his apostles, laid out for us. I'm not the pastor. I'm not an elder. And though I didn't agree with, a few things that I was told, I respectfully disagree, and I submit to that authority in Christ for God's purposes. I'm not going to, I think some people don't realize I don't know if you ever heard the saying, cut your nose off to spite your face. It's kind of a stupid thing to do. All of the blessing that has come through getting to know these people, brothers and sisters that I didn't know I had, that I am overwhelmingly grateful for. I am not stupid enough to, or even that full of myself. I mean, trust me, I can get pretty full of myself, but I'm not that full of myself that I can't lay aside our differences on the extra things, I guess you might call it. I don't know. I have a hard time explaining what's in here sometimes, and then I get on here and I'm looking at this, screen, watching the little timer at the top. Only you can't see it. I can see it tick away and just keep babbling on, and I have such a love for the church, for God's people. I mean, people in general, but definitely, God's people. And it pains me to just see the dissent and division. And the one person in particular had shared with me that he was, kind of nervous that, they've been through division before and all this divisiveness and stuff. And, they don't know me that well. So he was kind of encouraging me, hey, let's just kind of, sweep this, not sweep it under the rug. Let's see what would be a good way to put it. Just basically trying to encourage me to change my mind or whatever. And it didn't change my mind, but that, kind of pained my heart a little bit that there's been so much, and I'm not, picking on him or singling him out, because it's just an example of there's been such trauma in so many people's lives from these what really ultimately boils down to stupid little side things, and it's stupid in comparison to what God put us together for. And I haven't asked him, but I pray that, he's satisfied and his concerns or fears are relieved, that there's nothing to be concerned about. Because I love these people. And, I mean, they are just... It's not just what they've done for me, because they have been amazing. It's watching them in action that they see a need, they meet it, one way or another. And I could only hope to do as much, for others like they do. Every twice a month, there's a group of awesome ladies that I don't know how they do it. I mean, I don't have a kitchen here, so I can't cook like that, but and they just get together and they have meals for the community. And the people that come in, it is just, I mean, we all have a part to do. I mean, I would, like to be more of a help, but then it kind of dawned on me that, being there, bringing other people in, and, the people that come in, greeting them, making them feel welcome, or giving them an opportunity to, get to know us and invite them back to, a Sunday service and stuff like that. Everybody's got a part to play, and I guess that's my part. When I can find an opportunity, because towards the end, everybody's, there's so many people up, wiping tables and stuff like that. It's like, so when I find a messy spot, I just get really excited to, get over there, get a rag and get it cleaned and, let them know that I got there first. And almost everybody there is like that. And it's just a beautiful thing to see them in action. And it I don't know. I'm kind of going off on a tangent and being a little redundant, but it's great. I mean, here I am sitting in a bus in 9-degree weather and with the engine going, and I just got to tell you, life is a beautiful thing, especially when we focus on what God would have us focus on. Hate what God hates, love what God loves. The topic for the sermons most recently was in Romans. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Well, you do that in the Word, obviously. You do that, in prayer. And just, I think in James it talks about to meditate on, what is lovely and pure. I think our humanness, it's not an excuse, but just for understanding, our humanness complicates those things. Because sure, I could sit here and say, I miss my husband, which I do, and, I miss my other dog, Mia, which I do, and, and focus on all those things, and, oh my gosh, that person rolled their eyes at me, and just get all super hypersensitive, or I've got anxiety, and I'm not mocking anybody, but this is what it looks like to me, okay? It's like, I've got anxiety because of this and this and this and this, but I know God's got this. No matter how hard things seem, I don't know if anybody else refers to him, but we call him Abba, Father. So my daddy's got me. I know that. And in that, I am able to really, truly enjoy all the beauty that's around me. The people, the interaction, the beautiful snow that came down. I mean, just all of it. And I hope by sharing, my little quirks and things that Oh my gosh, I couldn't count how many people get annoyed by me. But it's like today I had a wonderful dinner with a family that I'm kind of taking up most of their driveway right now because I've been having some work done on my bus. It got a little dangerous to drive because of the brake. And there's a couple other things that I need to do to it before I can pull out again. But we had dinner together. And, well, it was an early dinner. But, and you know, the kids were being kids. But it was nice. And I don't think enough of us stop long enough to enjoy those moments and really cherish them. I know a lot of people whose loved ones, you know, people they care about, whether it's a family member or a friend or a spouse, that are, you know, suffering badly and in the hospital or have died. At least 5 to 8 people a week I hear talk about somebody close to them has, you know, been hospitalized for serious things or has died. And one thing that I couldn't get through my husband's thick skull for quite a while there, until he was pretty close to his end. And we didn't know it was his end, but he was a lot closer than we thought. Is that there's 2 things that God gives us that we can spend at will and never get back. One is money. The other is time. And too many people put more focus on spending their time to get money, which you can't take it with you. I don't mean to be cliche, but you can't take it with you. And you can't take time with you either, but the relationship suffers because of that. Any relationship, pick it. You know, parents with their kids, spouses with each other. It's, you know, kids with their parents. You know, my son, all he's doing now is working and sleeping. And I asked him, I said, are you going to be another Jamie? And, you know, he got a little irritated at me by saying that, but just, let's wake up. My mother and I did not get along most of my life until the last 2.5 years. But I still, whether I wanted to or not, God always put me in a position to spend that time with her. And it was only the last probably 8 years of her life that it really started hitting me that even if it was, even if it ended in an explosion, we spent that time together. And by God's grace, we always ended up working things out, and it finally got through to her. And she had peace those last couple of years. Something that she had never experienced her entire life. You'd have to get my book and read about it to get that whole story. But just as an example, I mean, there was somebody that many times in my life I couldn't stand her. And I'm sure the feeling was mutual. But that time that we spent together, we gave God time to work out those relationship issues and make some beautiful memories, albeit at the end of her life, but we have that. Or actually, she's gone now, so I have that. And even ever since my kids were little, I was, you know, shunned by a lot of people and made fun of and belittled by a lot of people because it was very important to me to be a stay-at-home mom, whether I was a single mom or not. Because my children needed me. not what I could provide for them. Of course, they needed that too. And, you know, a lot of people might say, well, they went without and stuff. My kids never went hungry. They never went without shoes, you know, proper shoes and clothes. And they were always clean. But I was able to spend that time with them when they were very young and growing up. And nowadays, you know, I don't see or talk to my daughters at all, or they don't see or talk to me at all. They're the ones that shut me out. But I have those memories. And I hope they do too. And I have a promise that God made me many years ago that He's going to restore my family. And I trust Him in that because, you know, He always comes through. Maybe not in the time that I would like, but I believe it'll happen. And so, take those moments, and no matter how frustrating your kids can get, no matter how irritating your spouse can get, no matter the disagreements with, you know, your brothers and sisters at church, value that unity by God's grace above all else. It's why Christ put us together. Whether it be, you know, families or church families. And spend that time together. Had those members and the pastor not taken that time with me, I wouldn't have understood where they are coming from. And nothing would have gotten worked out. And they wouldn't have gotten to know me a little bit better, to know that above all else, above all our differences, I love them. And we're going to get through this and grow through this together by God's grace, because that's what's important. And I don't know if this is even, you know, making a whole lot of sense to anybody, but I hope it blesses you. And now I'm going to go spend some time with my dog. Hanani's down here waiting patiently to go outside, and we're going to go play in the snow. She loves the snow. But anyhow, you go out and enjoy the snow too if it's snowing in your area, and thank you for spending some time. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little silly about that, but thank you for your time here. God bless you, and have a fabulous weekend. Oops.